And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Morning Briefing here on Caffeine TV, NoFilter.net, various other platforms around the universe and the technological world. I'm Jeff DeForest, along with one Mike Lubie. Lubitz, fresh off a 3-day weekend. What kind of bender was it for you, my friend? Did you have a good time celebrating President's Day? Although it's tough to celebrate the last president that we had prior to Biden. And right now, we don't know if Biden's alive either. So it's bit of a weird holiday for the celebration. I guess you could go all the way back to Abe Lincoln, 7 years ago. But nonetheless, it was a freebie day off for a lot of people around the country and around the world, and at least certainly in the United States. And I hope everybody had a good time. How was your weekend, Olivia? A lot of sports going on over the weekend, that's for sure.
Good weekend. I actually didn't take in much sports. I know the NBA had whatever they call it now.
That thing was great. Unbelievable.
I didn't watch 1 second of the guy that I didn't know was still on a roster winning a slam dunk contest, which they're reaching at this point. And I didn't watch any of they're not, I mean, they haven't tried for years now with the All-Star game. So all I saw was people complaining about it. I didn't take a second of it in. I did a lot of relaxing, a lot of family time, and really no sports. So I'm ready to get back to sports and back to serious basketball.
They stepped up the caliber of playing the Celebrity All-Star game as they got rid of a lot of people that couldn't play basketball, so that it ended up Adam Sandler looked like Charles Barkley in those games. But they stepped it up quite a bit, and they used NFL players. And all of a sudden, there was some semblance of basketball being played. C.J. Stroud was touted as a great basketball player. He didn't particularly have a good game. But Micah Parsons, my God, from the Dallas Cowboys ought to change sports. And you had Nakua dunking the basketball. You had this high jumper in there with a couple of slam dunks. It was a far cry from what we've seen. It was probably better caliber of basketball than we saw in the actual All-Star game, which is my favorite event because it's an annual annuity. They can't make a score high enough to have the underplayers actually cash a ticket. I mean, the underplayers need an undertaker. Yeah. Somewhere around the end of the first quarter, you could see that this game was on track to be a 400-point ball game. And the final of 211 to 186, record shattering. Remember, people were saying, oh, geez, how high can they make this over under? It was like 350 and change or something like that, maybe 340. And ended up being accomplished by the end of the third quarter as once again, the overplayers got their annuity payment and were able to cash for whatever amount they were able to get in on the ball game. Defense, though, I mean, doesn't really have to be that much of an atrocity. I mean, people always argue about All-Star games. Look, they've shattered any concept of the All-Star game in the National Hockey League. I don't even know what they're doing out there. It's based on a skills competition, this, that, and the other thing. The NFL for years has had a problem with actually playing an extra football game with people that aren't involved in the Super Bowl. And, the quality of play was always suspect, but you didn't want to see somebody get hurt. Now it's down to essentially being decided by a game of dodgeball, which is a far cry. I mean, that's as far away from a replica of what you would see during the regular season in the All-Star game and or the Pro Bowl, as it's called there, as you could possibly get. Now, baseball, people have always said this most closely approximates the game. It really approximates the game that Tony La Russa would manage, or maybe Jim Leland, where you're switching pitchers every other half inning, and sometimes within the stretch of an inning where a guy gets the first couple of guys out, and then you're bringing in a guy from the bullpen. I understand you want to get everybody into the game, and you don't want to stress out some pitcher by having them go 6. But I'm not sure that the game really approximates the game of baseball anymore, as we used to always say, well, it's the best All-Star game because it's the closest to the actual game itself. And now the NBA, I mean, would it not be possible to play a little bit of defense? So holy red clots, what are we talking about? The Washington Generals played better defense on Meadowlark Lemon, which was he ever called for a 3-second violation in all those Globetrotter games? I don't think, 3 seconds was not within the realm of the rules that are about to be enforced, much like traveling is never enforced in the NBA. But that was ridiculous, Lubie. I mean, honestly, I watched a little bit of it. And you're saying that, I mean, when you're in the gym, maybe playing a little one-on-one with a guy, you're getting up there in years, haven't played basketball for a while, or you decide to go in there and shoot around a little bit, and then the guy suggests you, hey, you want to play one-on-one? And you're saying, you know what, I'll play one-on-one, but I really don't feel like beating the shit out of each other, so why don't we just go with token pressure?
Yeah.
token pressure being you're 3 feet away from the guy, you never leave the ground, and you might raise a hand and go, "Hey, your mother," as he's shooting yet another successful jumper, like he was Damian Lillard in the 3-point shooting competition, which, by the way, nice job of repeating there. I didn't see too much of the festivities. I missed the slam dunk. I missed the 3-point competition, sniffed a little bit of the celebrity game, and the All-Star game itself. I saw brief fragments of it, and the defense, went right out the window. Didn't they used to ratchet it up in the fourth quarter, Lubie? That was the thing. Like they would let everybody score, and then when the game was actually on the line, they would pay a little bit of attention. This was bad. I mean, it just you may as well have been watching a bunch of guys at a shoot around. It is nice to see all these all-star caliber players assembled in one place. As far as a competitive ball game and any kind of, even if it was showtime, and you just had a lot of spectacular offensive plays. I don't know that you can be making spectacular offensive plays when nobody's playing even the slightest bit of defense the entire contest. But that aside, I'll cash another ticket on an over. I don't know how high is that total going to have to go before somebody actually is encouraged to bet the under in an NBA All-Star game. That was just part of the fanfare, though, of the weekend. Golf actually was making some noise this weekend with a phenomenal final round by Hideki Matsuyama, the Japanese stud who won the Masters a few years back and won a tournament in 2022. And that's been it. He had his 8th win in 2022, fell off the cliff. He went into a golfing abyss, this guy. Real professional, and one of those guys that is not likely to be impacted by an emotional swing, some kind of Brooks Koepka mood swing. This is a guy who's steady as they come. He's 6 shots off the lead. Looked like it was going to be a showdown as it's set up between two good friends. As you had Patrick Cantlay, who was leading a kind of local charge there because he went to UCLA. He's from Los Angeles and played the Riviera Country Club essentially throughout his youth and all the way into his professional golf career. Loves the course. He's up 5 shots after 2 rounds. Lead gets down to 2 shots going into the final round. He's paired with Xander Schauffele, who he is best friends with. They played a zillion rounds together. So stage was set for a nice piece of drama between two guys with great respect for each other and who might have even been rooting for each other in this spot. You thought it was going to be Tiger and Phil at Doral many years ago, one of those showdowns where every shot, every hole is contentious and the crowd starts to evolve and get into it as they get through the round. But those two guys never got off the mark. And meanwhile, Hideki Matsuyama, wow, pinpoint accuracy on some iron shots, just 2 incredible iron shots back to back for tap-in birdies on the back 9, where he birdied 6 of the 9 holes, shot a 30, and ended up blowing by everybody to win the tournament by 3 shots. But obviously the focal point, and it was interesting because he withdrew in the middle of the second round, Tiger Woods. He's the focal point. He's the host of the tournament. He played in the tournament. It's the first time he was playing since, the Masters in April of last year. And there's always going to be a focus on Tiger Woods. There's no question, and perhaps deservedly so. But they even had clips of him, coughing and leaving the course in the final round in the midst of a 5-way dead heat, which he evolved as you had 5 guys tied at 14 under with a handful of holes to play. And you couldn't have asked for more drama, except for the fact that Tiger Woods was not a part of it. Now, what's your feeling about guys that is Tiger Woods in the category of being a shot fighter, Lubie, at this point? Shot fighter. You have guys that continue to play for the love of the game. Andy Murray's a good example. Is Andy Murray going to win another tournament in his lifetime? I don't know. I'm not even sure if he's continuing to play this year, but I came back from a series of really debilitating injuries, hip surgeries, and things of that nature. And you thought, wow, he's got all the money in the world. Why the hell does he want to go out there and bust his balls trying to get back onto the tennis circuit? And I don't begrudge a guy that. I don't know. How do you feel about that? A lot of people, would say, well, Jesus, this guy doesn't have it anymore. Why is he even playing? But I have no problem with that.
And we've talked about it with other guys. It's your decision to keep doing it. I wonder why. I wonder why a lot of the times when a guy clearly
the competitive buzz, don't you think?
Why they keep going. But again, if they're making tons of money just to be out there in a way that they wouldn't, okay, I guess it's their choice,
It doesn't hurt Tiger to proliferate his strong sponsor ties by being out there on the tour, but I don't know that he needs to, right? His legend kind of exceeds the idea that he really needs to play and go out there. And I don't know that he's Arnie Palmer being wheeled around the Masters at 82 years old, where, you were just waiting, to see if Arnie fell down. And you're thinking, why do they continue to torture this man? Why do they keep propping him up? Or Muhammad Ali fighting Trevor Berbick in the Bahamas, a match that was, completely forgettable for Ali's standpoint and his fans. But you thought, why, Muhammad? Why are you doing this? That's a much more difficult sport to navigate your way through when you don't have it anymore. Tiger, I mean, it was, in there. I mean, with a 72 the first day, which was one over par, and bogeyed the last hole to get to that point. Coming back the next day, what was he going to win the tournament? No. Did he need a tune-up? Possibly, yes. Do you like seeing him out there? That would be the question. Or is it sort of embarrassing to see a guy just struggle like that? Now, in this case, it wasn't an injury that forced him out of the tournament. He ended up with some kind of a bizarre tsetse fly bite and a flu that afflicted him to the point where he was wheezing and coughing, and you could see he was just in agony as he tried to navigate his way through the second round of the tournament. But I kind of like it that Tiger Woods is back out there. I don't know. I was a big Tiger Woods fan, and we found out he was a complete fraud, and people soured on him. And then you had the whole stipulation about whether or not he was doing a juice. Was that really not Dr. Galea that was running out of the backyard there when he was being interviewed by Tom Rinaldi? And you see this shadowy figure. I mean, it was either O.J. Simpson coming back from whacking a couple of people, or it was Dr. Galea trying to dodge the FBI, as this was a guy that was wanted in 5 countries. Tiger Woods. We always said this about Roger Clemens, Lubie, that you could go to any doctor in the world, but why are you going to like Victor Conti? I mean, why do you have this schlub that was in like the Mets clubhouse? And he's the guy that's administering, hypodermic needles into your wife's rear end at home. I mean, that was just any doctor would be happy to see Roger Clemens. No, I would think so. Same thing with, Tiger could have been treated by anybody. And why is he, got this guy coming sneaking out of the house there with a little black bag? And you're thinking, what's in that? What part of Mexico did it come from, Tiger? No wonder you're brittle as can possibly be. My God, snapping bones like they were balsa wood, and just playing the game of golf, which is a weird thing. Matsuyama, the back problems that come along with golf, Freddie Couples, legendary for that. Seems, what is it about the game? That shows you that this is a game that should never be played. That whoever invented it, obviously you thought that the human body was meant to be some sort of contortionist. And that's the only way you're going to survive without having hideous injuries. But anyway, Matsuyama blows by him with a 62 on the final round and wins that tournament. And Tiger Woods still garnered all the attention. I don't know when he plays again, but it's not like Johnny Unitas with a lightning bolt on his helmet, or Joe Willie sitting there on a Rams helmet. And you're thinking, my God, how pathetic is it that these guys are still playing? So Tiger Woods, I'm sure he'll surface again somewhere, but maybe win again. I would tend to doubt it. A lot of money going up in smoke on that proposition. A couple of other things too. NHL also. The outdoor game, Rangers and the Islanders. Did you catch any of that? 79,000 at MetLife Stadium. 79,000 for an outdoor hockey game. Turned out to be like a thriller in Manila, as the Ranger fans were treated to an overtime victory after, with 5 minutes to play, they were down 5-3. And I believe they might have been down 4 goals in this game at one point, and they came back from the dead and won it. Very exciting contest, and I was surprised to see 79,000 people fill the stadium there for this outdoor hockey game. Obviously, a big, big hit. I don't know that they'll ever have one in Miami, but there have been occasions, too, where it's been like unseasonably warm when they tried to stage one of these things, and that creates a lot of difficulties. Global warming? Yep. Exactly. I think that's evidence of it right there in the NHL. The other debate that we had, Caitlin Clark, of course, broke the record, all-time female scoring record, although it's not the all-time record because there was somebody in the distant past, before they kept such statistics and considered them to be worthy of the record books, that had like 1,000 more points. Some woman, like in the 1920s or whatever, when there was like one college basketball team that featured women. The question arose, though, is Caitlin Clark nothing more than a chucker, Lubie? Which, when I was growing up playing basketball, that was not a label that was particularly flattering to have attached to you. As, people would say, yeah, DeForest, he's just a chucker. And you're thinking, oh, no, I'm not. I pass the ball once in a while. I play a little defense. Just a chucker. Is Caitlin Clark merely a chucker, Lubie, in your estimation?
And she's a highlight. Look, chucker usually means someone that's not good and just shoots it. So, no, she's not necessarily that. I think she's a good player that shoots a lot and is pretty inefficient. Oh,
Yeah. Kobe Bryant, when he scored 81, you know how many assists he had that game?
a zero, right? Wasn't it zero?
One assist. Yeah. Ball bounced off his kneecap and went to somebody in the corner. They switched to 3, and that was his assist for the ball.
Like, look, he passes the ball, and that's why our buddy was talking about this in one of our other shows. He compares it to Trae Young, and everyone thinks, oh no, because they see the Trae Young that's not as good as Luka and was in that trade.
Yeah.
But Trae Young's been an all-star almost every year of his career. Trae Young helped carry a team to a conference finals and push the eventual champion Bucks to 6 games.
He's always among assist leaders.
Trae Young led the country as a P. It's usually some random player from some random school. No.
Yeah.
A Power 5 team that was top 5 most of the year. He led the country in scoring and assists. So Trae Young is a chucker, again, a high-level chucker who also does pass the ball. So her being compared to Trae Young, I actually think is a very good comp. And I don't think it means she's Deion Waiters. It means she's more like, or Allen even Iverson, who would shoot like 28%.
Yeah.
Like, she shoots better than that. She shoots around 50%, but she's not, I don't like, to compare to some of the other greats, to me, it's hard for me to put her above the Tarasis, the Sue Birds, the even.
She's not as well-rounded as
Cheryl Miller,
those girls are, I think.
Klein. Like, I don't know where you put her with those people. Like, the way she plays is fun and electric because she shoots it from anywhere at any time, and she has a really good chance at making it. But I don't know. She's not the all-around player some of these other greats are. She's just, and I don't know the women's game that much, but I find it hard to believe that people are putting her over some of these other women that have won multiple titles when she's not going to win any.
You sound like Jane Williams on ESPN, who used the old, never won a championship thing to say and diminish her level of stardom in comparison to other greats of the game. One other thing, too, I mean, I did miss Tiger being in the final couple of rounds of that tournament because I always love the coverage of Tiger Woods, even when he's hopelessly out of it. And they go, we got some news on Tiger Woods. He's there on 17 and 6 over par right now, but nonetheless, he just may have farted. Did he fart? Dottie Pepper's out there, right there with that group. Do you smell anything, Dottie? And you're like, must we? I mean, do we have to stoop to these levels just to find a way to incorporate Tiger into the coverage? All right, a lot of fun being with you today on the morning briefing. There was, just an abundance of occurrences over the weekend. We didn't even get to half of them, but we have plenty of time, right? Because football doesn't start for another 5 months, so we'll be able to explore a few things. UConn, by the way, pounding everybody. That victory over Marquette, did that not stamp them? I mean, would you put your money down right now? Still a lot has to happen and fall into place to win the national championship. But they look to be light years ahead of everybody else, no? And our man, Rick Pitino, face down in the gutters of Queens right now, saying that this was the most difficult year he's ever had coaching, the least enjoyable.
It hasn't worked out.
12-4 at one point, now 14-12, and it's looking very much like, hey, you know what? We're in the NIT, kids. But he's always had a big leap in success, a quantum leap forward in his second year with every program that he's taken over. First year, he's had success, but modest compared to what he did in his second year at these schools. So we'll see if he doesn't turn it around at St. John's there. I would like him to come back so I can break out my Lou Carnesecca sweater that's been gathering moth holes in the closet there for the last 40 years. All right, we'll see you next time. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. Thanks for tuning in to today's edition of the Morning Briefing.